The Garmin J1 is a golf watch for kids. And is that something we actually needed? Well, after using it and after reviewing it and thinking about how I would like to be golfing with my own daughter in the future, I think the answer might be yes. Today, I'm doing a full review of the J1 to help you figure out if this is something you should invest in for your junior golfer. Let's get right into it. So when it comes to golf hardware, Garmin has a history of rolling out just some unexpected products. For instance, at the same time they announced this, they came out with the G82 launch monitor, which is half launch monitor, half high-end GPS. They also have the Z30 rangefinder, which has direct integration with your Garmin smartwatch. And so when I saw that they were coming out with a golf watch for kids, it was just like, well, do kids really need that much more technology in their life? How can this actually help them and enhance their golf experience as opposed to just getting in the way? Well, the reality is there's actually a number of pretty cool features in here that once I actually got out on the course with it, it helped me really get a sense of how this could be beneficial for junior golfers. So let's first talk about first impressions and what you can expect out of this watch. So out of the box, packaging very similar to every other Garmin golf watch out there, except instead of a gray box, you get this colorful blue box, which is kind of nice. Packaging, pretty basic, nothing over the top, but exactly what you expect to get with Garmin. When it comes to size, this is the exact same dimensions and the exact same form factor as the existing S44 and S50 watches, which is to say it feels slightly small compared to the S70 or like the Fenix 8, which are very full-sized golf watches. But honestly, if you put this on an 8-year-old, which is the minimum recommended age, it might still feel a little bit big. That being said, to accommodate for smaller wrists, it comes with a smaller nylon band, which is excellent, very easy to adjust exactly however you want it. I put it on my 5-year-old who refused to want to take it off, and while the watch itself looked big, the nylon band you could size perfectly. Now, I don't want to go too far into the ins and outs of this as a golf watch because it works just like every other Garmin golf watch out there for the most part. GPS yardage is dead on, very accurate. The user interface for the most part is similar to the S44, S50. There are a few less features on this. You're not getting like sleep tracking. You're not getting some of the advanced fitness features that you get on some of those watches. But in exchange, you are getting some of the kid-first features, which is really the whole reason for buying this watch. Okay, so what are the features that make this a kid's golf watch? Well, let's talk about them. So the first one, and I think this is really cool, is called forward tees. That is where you put in how far your average drive distance is, and using GPS, this will navigate you to where your tee box should be. So if you're playing with a new golfer, where even the forward tees are still a bit too far away, you can use this feature and it will navigate you to exactly where you should tee off. And in practice, it actually works really well.
All right, so teeing it up where it told me, this is the par 5 fourth hole at Witch Hollow. We're playing this as a par 7 because my personal par is +2. That's what we set in the watch. My driver distance, we're saying, is around 175 to 200. So I'm teeing off with like 4-iron, 5-iron on this round. And I gotta say, like, it seems kind of cheesy, but the thought of in a few years, when my daughter is a good enough golfer and independent enough for her to be able to lead the round and basically say, okay, Elliot, I'm gonna follow you. Where's the tee box? Where are we going? And to let her have that autonomy and have that control over her golf experience, I think that's really actually pretty cool, and something that I didn't think about until I actually started playing and seeing what this felt like and using this watch. So my initial expectation was like, this could be kind of gimmicky. I don't know. It's a very niche audience, and maybe it still is. But I also see a ton of utility in a world where this actually could make sense for a lot of kids. So, okay, personal par, tee shot, let's go.
After you put in your scores on the previous hole, it's going to show you the distance to the next green, and then it's going to show you 3 arrows on the side. As you get closer to your personal tee box, those arrows are going to go up. So it'll start with 1, then it'll move to 2, then it'll move to 3 as you get closer, and then the watch will vibrate and tell you to tee off here when you get to the correct spot.
All right, we got a birdie putt from our personal tees up here, which the spot was just in front of where the forward tees were. One concern I have is with these personal tees, does it take into consideration fairway? So far, it's had me teeing up on a fairway or a tee box each time, but I'm curious if you have a big force carry, if it's smart enough to know not to have you tee up in the rough. So we'll find out.
So not a single time in my round of testing did it have me tee up in a weird spot. Every single time I'd be walking through rough, and then as soon as I get to the fairway, it would have me tee up. Or sometimes it might be even further up. But always had me placing the ball either on a tee box or in a fairway, which I thought was great. And so honestly, I think this might be my favorite feature of the watch as I start thinking about how I would use this with my own daughter. Now to be clear, my daughter's only 5. We're still a few years away from actually being able to use something like this, but I love the idea of giving her autonomy over the round. I like the idea of her being able to lead us and her being able to run the round. As opposed to me being like, hey, hit it here, tee off here, do this. She could actually look down and be like, nope, Dad, our tee box is right here, and she can take control of that. That's gonna give her confidence on the golf course, and it actually feels like she's playing more of a real round of golf as opposed to just me going to some random spot in the middle of the fairway and saying, tee it up. When you start your round in the watch and you frame it as though this is a personalized golf experience that is going to meet you where you are as a kid, I think that is really cool. And the watch not only does that with tee boxes, it does it in some other ways as well. One of the biggest ones is with personal par. So let's say the average score on any given hole for your junior golfer is 2 over par. Well, you can go set a personal par within the watch to say it's 2 over. So now a typical par 4 will read par 6. And so there, instead of competing with just regular golf norms, you're competing against yourself and where you're at and helping to inspire confidence. Because now, instead of getting frustrated by the fact that they can't hit it far enough or consistently enough to make a par on a par 4, by making that a par 6, all of a sudden that makes it more realistic. It makes it more attainable and it makes it more fun. I can very much see this being a feature that's going to help kids stay motivated and not get down on themselves and just make golf more fun when they're getting better scores that are relevant for their personal skill level. With the watch, they also have little celebrations, which are kind of fun. So for birdies, eagles, pars, you get animations that pop up after each score that make things feel like a little bit more of an occasion and a little bit more fun. And this works relative to your personal par as well. So if you're playing a par 6 and you shoot a 6, it will show you the par animation after that happens. One other feature that's good for kids is a pace of play timer. So you'll see a ring that kind of counts down around the bezel of the watch, helping golfers to understand, hey, this is how we keep pace, this is how we play quickly. And if they are doing a good job keeping pace, they will even get a bonus animation that says, hey, you're playing fast. Nicely done.
So I just got the Fast Player Award. So it's one of those things that's also teaching kids, hey, you got to keep pace. You can't take too long. So the fact that, we just played 5 holes pretty quickly and that little notification popped up was kind of cool. Nice little bonus, nice little hit of dopamine that hopefully just helps reinforce good golf etiquette with kids when they're learning how to play.
So honestly, this is a feature I could see going both ways. I could see some kids getting maybe a little nervous or a little frustrated if they're not able to play quickly enough, or I can see it going the other way, which encourages ready golf and keeps things moving forward and helps build confidence in that way and their ability to help them feel that they can play at a normal golfing pace. When it comes to usability, it's very easy to navigate. You've got 2 buttons on the side, a very responsive touchscreen, and everything is dumbed down just a little bit compared to the S44 or S50 so that it is more kid-friendly. On the stock home screen, you can see the time, you can see your step counter for the day, you can also see your most recent score as well as your battery life. Along with that, there are some of the other standard Garmin Golf watch faces that you see on other watches, but I actually really like the default one that is included with the J1. When it comes to extra features, as I mentioned, it is pretty bare bones. There are activities for walking, running, biking, and a pool swim, all activities that a kid might do, but you're not going to see some of the more advanced fitness tracking that you get on many other Garmin watches. So to summarize, everything the J1 says it's going to do, it does, and it does it really well. Just as you would expect with any other Garmin golf watch, they've kind of nailed this. They have released so many golf watches over the years that they generally are pretty thoughtful about the features and how well it works, and everything about this watch has worked as well as any other Garmin golf watch that I've tested. I also like the fact you can grow into it a little bit, so it's got basic yardages, but then if you want to add club tracking, if you want to add club recommendations, if you want to add score tracking, you can do all of that. So as your kid gets a little bit older, as they start, thinking about playing real rounds of golf or competitive rounds of golf or really thinking about scores, game tracking, all of that stuff, this is a watch they'll be able to grow into and use for a long time to come. It also, as you would expect, it does pair with the Garmin Golf app if you have a phone, but you do not need to pair it with the app in order to get value out of this. Chances are, if you're giving this to an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, they might not have a phone. So knowing that you can use this without the phone, I think is something worth noting. That does bring up one final concern I have about this watch, and that's that, it's $300 retail. That is the same price as the Garmin S44, but that one you can often find on sale for $250. Now that has a lot of extra, more adult-oriented features. This has all the bonus kid ones. So if you do have a younger golfer that's just starting out, obviously I think this is going to be the better choice. But If you are comparing buying this versus maybe a Apple Watch or some other type of watch where they can communicate with you, maybe they're not ready for a cell phone, but you want to be able to keep track of them, or you want them to be able to text you, or you want to be able to get a hold of them. I know my nieces and nephews around that age of like 9, 10, 11, they all got watches in lieu of cell phones. So if you're going to go out and buy your kid a relatively expensive watch, are you going to buy them a golf watch, or are you going to buy something that's going to have a little bit more value day to day? Or do you do both? I'm not sure. So I think that's going to be one of the big considerations for most parents. So if you're looking for a golf watch for your junior golfer, this is unequivocally the best one out there. The real question becomes is, where is your golfer in the process? Are you going to actually use the features like the personal par or the GPS enabled forward tee where you've got that custom tee box? If so, I think this is absolutely worth it. And I love, like I said, that sense of autonomy and control you can give them over the round. If they're kind of past that, or you don't think you're going to use those features, then there's plenty of other golf watches that do a great job with more features for a similar price. Or if golf isn't the main focus, then you can go with more of a general smartwatch that's going to help you out a little bit more day to day. But overall, despite the fact this is a niche product, I think Garmin knocked it out of the park with the implementation, how it worked, and I think for the right junior golfer, I think this could be an absolute game changer. And with that, my name is Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here, Breaking 80, where we talk about cool golf courses and cool golf products. If you want my take on some of the other Garmin golf watches that are out there, I will link to some of my other reviews below so you can compare, contrast, and figure out which watch is right for your family. But with that, I hope you have an excellent day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.